Welcome to the On Point Podcast, a channel dedicated to helping you be the best hunter you can be. On Point is designed to help motivate and inspire you to get more out of yourself and your gear during your next hunt. If you're looking for information that will directly impact your success and help inspire you to go on new adventures, whether you're hunting with a bow or a rifle, On Point is the channel for you. Hey everyone, Garrett here. Hopefully you're all doing well. This week's episode, I get to sit down with Sage Davis and Luke Evans, and they both have their own platforms and building their own brands currently. I'm excited to share this one with you because some of you probably have heard of these guys, some of you haven't. But what they're doing is they're doing things the right way, building their brands, putting hunting in a good light. And I wanted this episode to be about them and get to know them, but it really kind of took a turn towards being a hunting ambassador, what that means, who you are if you do that, and really how to do it the right way versus what may be the wrong way, how to not portray hunting in a good light, which I know we all want to do. So this is a great episode, just talking about what's on our heart and really getting out there and promoting being a good ambassador to the sport. You're going to hear why. But really appreciate these two coming onto the show. Great guys, great integrity, and just really love what they're doing. And they both have their own platforms. I suggest you go follow them and check out what they're doing. If you can, leave a 5-star review with a comment. Get yourself entered in these giveaways that I do. And I think your odds right now are like 1 in 15. So hopefully by the time this episode airs and then we have our next one, you might have a 1 in 20 chance of winning something cool. And definitely, if you leave a 5-star review, you deserve to get entered, but you have to leave a comment so I can see who left that review. But anyways, guys, that's it. That's the intro, and I hope you guys enjoy this episode. I'll see you in the end. Bye. Perfect, guys. Well, let's get this thing going. I'm going to turn myself down just a little bit. There we go. Does everything sound good in your guys' headphones?
Yeah, except for when I talk.
So, well, let's go ahead and get this thing rolling. We are live, and I am joined. Let's do some intros. Sage, why don't you go first?
So I am Sage Davis from Chasing Moby, and I got invited by Garrett Weaver to do some awesome podcasting with On Point Podcast, and I am very grateful.
Oh, well, welcome. Luke?
Luke Evans with Mountain Minded. YouTube, Instagram. I met Garrett last weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Was it already last weekend?
I think so, yeah. And then Sage said, I told Sage, I met him. He said, I'm going up there Monday. You want to go? So here I am.
So I appreciate you guys both driving up because you guys had to drive, an hour?
Yes. Yeah. I had to wait on Luke almost that long, too. So
he told me 5:15. I was there 5:30.
Yeah,
that's
pretty
close.
Oh. Well, hopefully the steaks were worth the drive alone. So.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah, that was good.
So I was really worried. I cooked these guys steaks when they got here, and I couldn't get this bloody iron taste out of the steaks, and so they didn't mind it, but it was driving me insane.
No, bloody iron taste what it's all about, man.
Bloody iron.
No, it was good. It was good.
That's right.
So for folks that don't know who Chasing Moby is, if I told them it's the antlered whale with the bare legs, that would probably ring a bell with a lot of folks. Where did that come from?
So the need for a logo initially. So Chasing Moby, it started out 2013 is when I think I put the first video out, and we were heavy into spearfishing at the time, and we still spearfish. Actually, I spearfished a couple times this last week, but we used to do a lot of diving in the ocean and shoot, ling cod and rockfish and things like that.
Really?
Yep. And we'd just free dive with our spear guns.
How deep?
Well, with the Oregon coast, it's really hard to tell without a computer because it's just darkness until you hit the bottom. So, but in the rivers, we'd be dancing around. I mean, like the deepest we'd probably dive is around 30 feet. So there's a spot. There's a spot that's 31 feet deep that we can. Well, we lost a reel down there one time off a spear gun, so I had to dive down and get it. So that's how I know.
Are you doing like with gear and a tank and stuff?
No, just snorkel.
Really?
Yeah.
I feel accomplished when I dive to the bottom of my dad's swimming pool.
I was literally just going to say the same thing.
Well,
I can't do it.
So there's people like my hunting partner, one of my actually oldest friends, Joaquin is his name. We call him Quan. He would go out and just dominate and shoot fish all the time. And so I had to try really hard to keep up. So that's the only reason I could dive at all. I was just sheer trying to keep up. But so we used to spearfish a lot, and then we got really into hunting and, archery elk and, hunting predators and everything. And so I was just trying to find something that would encompass everything. Mm-hmm. And the name Chasing Moby, I'd actually already come up with the name Chasing Moby. Just kind of the MO of our group, not MO, mission statement of our group, I don't know, is just chasing that experience. Now he's distracting me with his cell phone.
Sorry.
No, is kind of encompassing or chasing that experience. So, like Captain Ahab, chasing the white whale, just taking after the unknown, the crazy, against the odds, the adventure. He had his own, issues with the white whale, taking his leg and whatnot. I don't have any of that going on. But so already the name Chasing Moby was kind of involved, and, it was going to be a thing. So having the whale represent spearfishing in the ocean. We don't, just for everybody listening, we do not spear whales. Because I've had that question
really?
Come up a couple times. We do not spear whales.
Even if it took your leg?
Well, I don't know. I haven't been put in that position, but I mean,
hopefully not someday.
I'm gonna say no. But so that part of the logo just encompasses, our spearfishing and what we do in the ocean, and then the antlers on the whale represent archery elk hunting and pretty much anything with the antlers that we hunt, and then it's got bear legs, and bear legs are kind of the predator side, and we all spring bear hunt and fall bear hunt. We hunt coyotes and everything like that. So it just kind of encompasses everything we hunt, and it fits in the name. So
yeah, and hunting, you and I actually got a chance to hunt this year together for spring bear, and your stuff.
Ooh,
you had a good year with me, anyways, in the car.
I had one of the luckiest years I've ever had. Yeah, no, it was awesome. We were super blessed with just tons and tons of bears this year, and we had awesome spots to hunt, so it was great.
It was
awesome.
Cool, because the first time that you and I went, we're like trying to figure out where we're going to go and like common areas, and then we decided to go just outside of where I've been going, and bears. And I've been on a dry spell, and I'm like, man, I was never going to find the spot we found that one bear in, but I was working my way farther down south a little bit, but I never would have found that spot that you took me to. And man, it was just crazy. It just really opened my eyes. Like, why are you hunting the same spots if you're not seeing bears?
Well, and see, season for me starts long before season. So my son and I had actually found that spot when there was snow on the ground still.
Really?
And we'd actually hung trail cameras and stuff, and like we'd been scouting out tons and tons of area. That was a hit. We kind of had a hit list for clear cuts and things like that, and that was like my number one spot just because of the orientation of the clear cut, what it has above it and all that stuff. So, but just going out and finding more and more and more and more area is kind of how I ended up, with that spot. It's just preseason, but if I didn't find any bears in any of the spots I scouted, I'd be in the same boat. So,
right.
So you found that spot this year?
Yeah. Well,
yeah. Or, I mean, pre-season.
Yeah, preseason this year. So
wow.
I think January or something like that.
That's interesting.
I thought you'd been going up there for a couple of years.
Not that particular clear cut, no.
Nice.
Yeah, no, not that cut.
Yeah, so we might have to get into bear hunting here because I had a crap year, me personally. I didn't even fire a shot. But for the guy, and I went into it so confident too. I think I needed this year to humble myself,
kick you down.
Yeah, because I was like telling everybody, like, yeah, I'm gonna get 3 bears with my bow this year in Oregon because I can do that, and then. I didn't even get within bow range of one. But so for folks that are wondering, this magic unit that you're talking about, what made it good for you?
So before I say that, I just want to say I started bear hunting, like actually chasing bears specifically, in 2016. So I am I don't have the knowledge base a lot of guys do. But just like a lot of people who hunt or bow hunt specifically, when you jump into something, you kind of jump in head over heels. So you kind of learn why bears are coming out in specific spots, what they're eating, what makes a bear there. Like why would one want to be there? So this particular, and a lot of people have this thing with north-facing slopes or south-facing slopes, and like I haven't hung my hat on that theory too much.
Same here.
I've gone more for geographic location, what kind of food source there is there water, where is this cut at, rather than, where it's oriented, according to the, north, south, east, west. So I look for road systems, because every clear cut's got some sort of road, somewhere close to it, unless it's helicopter logged, which we don't really have that much of it where I hunt anyway. But the very end of a road system where there's not a lot of access for people to get to is a big thing. And then if you can find a spot that's got a drainage or a basin or something above it with no green grass, and this is just for spring bear. Fall bear's kind of got its own set of unwritten rules. But if you can find a spot that kind of has the lack of what they want, it doesn't have a whole lot of green grass, because they're eating green grass, they're eating skunk cabbage and different things. Maybe I'm saying that wrong. I'm sure it's got some sort of scientific name, but they're
I
eating
call it skunk cabbage.
Yeah, the one everybody calls skunk cabbage.
Right, the one. Yeah, whether it's true or not, it's probably got some sort of fancy scientific name that we're just gonna butcher if we even tried. But
it's got a big yellow bulb and big leaves.
Yeah, there you go. So
mountain cabbage.
Yeah, my son asked me, Dad, can we eat that? Like, no. He's like, well, it's just cabbage, right? Like, no, we just call it that. You're right. Why do we call it that? This was literally yesterday. But anyway, so I look for that kind of stuff where, there's a lack of that around rather than an abundance. Because if you have an abundance, the animals kind of get spread, and then you have to spend a lot of time searching. But an area where you can get to where it's funneled, it's focused. There's a good amount of the stuff in one area, but not everywhere. And like I said, a drainage plays a big part. If there's a bunch of timber and then it just dumps out into one area of this green grass. And from what I understand, and I could be completely way off base, I don't know any actual science behind this, but from what I've been told is they eat grass coming out of their sort of hibernating season. I know bears don't, I've heard that bears don't really hibernate here, but they come out of this long winter where there's not a lot of food and their digestive system's a little screwy. So they go and they eat this grass to kind of reset them. And whether that's true or not, I don't know, but they definitely eat a ton of grass in the spring, I know. And that's something you can target. So, area that's got that focused, and then water. If you can find water in that same area. So in this particular one, there's a water source and a timber line for them to kind of kick it in when it gets hot. And if you look for all those things, there's no magic to it. If you sit there, there will be a bear. This is Southern Oregon. There will be a bear. There, So I didn't have any like ace in the hole this year or anything like that. It's just, the basic, what you look for. What do they eat? Where do they go? And why are they there? And it just seemed to really work out this year.
Right. I'm tired of the advice, look for south-facing slopes with no roads in the bottoms. Guys, most bears I've seen have not been in those units. I'll tell you that
exactly.
Right now.
Yeah, that's kind of where I was at.
Yeah. So let's revisit the bear hunting, but I want to go over, Luke, what's the mountain-minded thing you got going on, and a little bit about you.
I just wanted to just have a brand, or whatever you want to call it, that just kind of everything that we all love to do, fish, hunt, backpack. So that's why I went with just the mountain. It was a little more generic, and then just minded for just always on your mind, always, all winter, all spring, all summer, we're all thinking about it, hiking, everything, getting in shape for it. And it's only take elk season specifically, it's only a month out of the year, but we all think about it all year long.
Yeah,
that's right.
It's crazy that it's a small part of our life takes over the rest of our life.
Yeah.
And sorry for the cough.
So you guys producing content and stuff like that?
Yeah, and initially just wanted to get, it was just videos was the main goal, and got pretty good, or pretty, not lucky, but fortunate. It worked out perfectly on my spring bear hunt last year. That I was able to do it solo and everything. Like
Yeah, self-filmed?
had time.
Really?
Yeah.
God, that's so hard.
I know.
Yeah. And had time to set up the tripod, make sure he's in the screen. I laid down to try to get a shot, and then there was a big snow hump in between. I'm like, oh man! So now I'm like panicking. I finally got a rest, and meanwhile, the wind's perfect. There's creeks everywhere from the snow runoff, and so he couldn't hear a thing, and he's just over there munching down like a cow. But
Skunk cabbage.
so yeah, I'm like, I busted out my first video, and it came out okay. I mean, it's not phenomenal or anything, but I'm like, oh, for my first anything video,
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that's pretty good. And then I thought this is gonna be a piece of cake, and it's it's then after that I learned it's way harder,
Right.
especially with the bow.
And did you upload that onto YouTube?
Yeah, it's on our channel. It's the I had all these big plans for last fall, and then I had one of the worst falls going back to the humbling thing you were talking about. Yeah, that was but even went to Colorado for the first time this last year and had a lot of fun over there, but didn't get anything on the ground. And but back to the brand, and then we also do so it's YouTube and Instagram mostly. I've got a Facebook too, but it's not like a main focus or anything. It's kind of like just attached to my Instagram, so whatever goes on there syncs up. So.
Okay. Yeah, I do that same thing.
Yeah, but as far as like, I don't really get on there much. So if you try to talk or anything to me, it might be a couple weeks.
Instagram.
Yeah,
That's the place to go.
yeah.
So how did you guys meet?
So his spring bear video, actually, I think, isn't that what it was? Isn't I said I watched that before I met you. I thought I had seen your spring bear video on YouTube.
I think so. Whatever it was, we started texting on Instagram.
Yep. Well, then I reached out to you because I was like, I wanted to know if
I was.
No, I knew where you were.
That is true. Actually.
Exactly where you were. But no, I just wanted to know. I had some questions about the business end of it because you sell hats. You sell awesome hats and decals and things like that. So I have hats and T-shirts and decals and things, but I wanted to know some of the back end stuff with the business, and I just kind of reached out to him as like we were talking earlier, just like a like-minded person. He seemed to have the same things in common, and I just asked some questions, and I was kind of expecting maybe because you never know. I mean, you start asking somebody like, "Hey, can I join this competitive market next to you?" It's like. So I kind of didn't know if he was going to give me the information I needed or not, but I figured what the heck, might as well ask. So I reached out to him and asked him some questions about, taxes and different things like that. And he turned out to be, an all right guy. I mean, I
so
guess.
far.
So far.
I haven't unveiled my plan yet, though.
Oh, that's probably true.
Later in the episode.
Yeah.
So what kind of plans do you guys have for your companies and stuff now? What's your guys' goals and stuff? Where are you guys going with it?
So for me, we've actually been doing a whole lot with video and producing video and trying to get things on film and add it to our, YouTube portfolio or whatever. I guess portfolio would work. But one big thing for me is I'd like to kind of up the quality of videos on YouTube. And I'm not saying content as per, animals or, class of animals or anything like that. But there's a lot of and people are doing it now, which is awesome. And I just like to be a part of it. I'm not trying to, I'm not saying nobody's doing this because there are awesome videos out there and people are just crushing it. But I'd like to up the quality of the video. So like put things in 4K, put together, films that somebody who might not necessarily be, a bow hunter could still watch and enjoy or be, enlightened as to what we do and like maybe spread, what our goals are and what our passions are, and we kind of get misrepresented as hunters. So I always go back to have you guys seen the Planet Earth videos?
Yes.
So
amazing.
Have you guys seen that sloth going across the water and swimming across to the other side? Right?
Yeah.
Now think about this.
2 weeks ago.
Right? Yeah. So think about this. How many people actually care about sloths who are just like straight up sloth people who are like, yes, I'm all about sloths?
I don't know anybody.
Nobody.
Very few, right?
Said the sloth. But.
Now when you now when you watch that video, could you take your eyes off of it?
Yeah,
I couldn't.
That's true.
It was just amazing, like how they tell the story through the lens, and like they show you, struggle and life, and they just show you all these different things and like the different perspective. And it's just how they tell it, and with the cameras that they tell it, and you can't take your eyes off of it. So there's a lot of people out there who have a messed up view of what we do as hunters, and it's just not true, and they don't know, and we haven't done a great job of showing them.
Mm-hmm.
So I think if we could take what we do and present it in a better light, so if we could push for better quality videos, if we could tell a better story through the lens, if we could show the struggle, if we could show the emotion and the passion and, the energy involved and the work and the dedication, if we could show that through the lens better, we could take some of these people who just like they don't care about a sloth. If we could show them what we do, they'd watch it, and they'd be, we could take some of those people who are either riding that fence, who just don't know, who are the people who ask you if you caught something or not, those people,
Right.
And you could show them what we do, and show them like, just an average Joe, a person who goes out and, all of a sudden they're out there hunting with a bow. Like, what happened? Why is it attractive to them? So we could show that to them. So chasing Moby, we like to motivate. It'd be cool if we could do more of that, but reach out and motivate and help people kind of understand what hunting is and represent the hunting community in a good light. I'm 30 years old. There's been a lot of people before us. Some of them have done a great job. A lot of them have done a terrible job, unfortunately. There's people out there, like I said, Jim Shockey, Fred Bear, there's people who've done an amazing job and who are great ambassadors for our, I don't want to call it a sport, for our lifestyle.
I call it a lifestyle.
Right.
It's really it is.
Because like you said, it's 12 months a year this is going on. It's not, baseball season.
Right.
We're baseball players. No, we're hunters year round. So, but there's been great ambassadors for that, and we would just like to continue to do that and be a presence that motivates and shows people the right way to do things. And it costs money, and it takes time, and it's laborious, and I love it. So it's totally worth it to me. So it's fulfilling to do. So
I think your background kind of plays a role in why you wanted to do that. Because when I was getting to know you, I was like, how long you been hunting, and you hadn't been hunting your whole life. You'd been. How long have you been hunting? Period.
So it's been 14 years, I guess.
14 years, and you had a lot of friends or people you knew kind of had these preconceived ideas of what a hunter was.
Oh yeah, well, so did I. When you say hunting, from the town I came from, I think of a 30-06, some, big old chew, a lifted truck, and a forked horn that's about to hit the dirt from a gravel road. And like, that's what hunting was. It was this like redneck pastime that happens once a year where everybody gets rowdy and they drive roads in their trucks. And that is a complete misrepresentation of what hunting is to me now. So that's been a lot of the sort of drive, as far as the filmmaking aspect of it.
Interesting. So you've had folks, with those preconceived ideas. Have you turned any of those folks around?
Yeah, actually tons of people just because of our logo, which is kind of funny. Yeah. I never would have thought that it would be what it is, but so for me, like, I'm a passionate person. I love what I do, and I love every aspect of it, and it's a grind. But when somebody asks me, because I wear a Chasing Moby t-shirt or Chasing Moby hat, and they ask me what it's all about, like, hey, what is that? Some indie rock band or something? And I say, no, it's a company that we film outdoor adventures. And they go, what kind of outdoor adventures? And I say, all kinds. then I walk them down through like bow hunting and, the preparation for it and the hundreds and thousands of arrows shot and the fine tuning of the rifle and, the ballistic data and the trajectory validation of rifles and like the hiking mountains and setting trail cams and gym time, and walk them through this whole thing as quickly as I can before I lose their attention, But I just show them like how much work and dedication and passion goes into hunting. And most of the time, most of the people that ask that question go, wow, like I had no idea. And like they'll end up, either checking out videos or just scratching their head walking off. But it gives them a different perspective. And you don't realize that you have a different perspective until you talk to people.
Really?
Yeah. But, I mean, we all wander around. Everybody thinks that the world revolves around them, So when you go and you talk like that to somebody and you just see their eyes light up and they go, wow. Because it's a slow change typically, like from that like redneck kind of, I'm not saying there's anything bad with being a redneck or anything like that. I just mean hunting, you can't encompass all of hunting in the pickup of a truck with a 30-06. Like that just doesn't cover every aspect of it.
That doesn't fit my bill.
It doesn't fit my bill either, and it doesn't show you the important parts of it.
Right.
So coming from that and seeing that at a young age, not from my family, but just like when I first kind of started hunting, I first got my driver's license, I'm asking questions and stuff. It's a slow transition into finding out what it really is and who you really are, because I didn't have a whole lot of people showing me. You're kind of paddling up a stream here with people that either they're not dedicated enough to figure it out themselves, or they don't want to know and they want to kind of stay in that rut that they've always been in. So it's a hard spot to kind of come up with your own opinion. But once I did, and you kind of figure out like, okay, there's more to this. Like I didn't grow up doing this, but I can't stop now. Like I'm addicted to it, and it's not the killing stuff part. So what is it? Like you kind of do a little bit of searching, you figure out there's a lot more to it. It's deeper than it's been represented. So
what made you start the journey?
So as a kid, I had a buddy who him and his dad hunted. And I did not hunt. And I'm not saying like it probably sounds right now like I grew up in the city or something like that. I grew up on 40 acres surrounded by BLM and national forests.
Oh my gosh.
My dad and my grandpa built their own homes from a sawmill that we still own after they logged their own property. We had horses and cows and like absolutely lived an outdoor lifestyle minus hunting. So it's not like, it was my first day in the woods, it was my first day hunting. I grew up in the woods, but just missing that hunting aspect of it. Like just had too much things going on, and like they just didn't put any effort into, it just wasn't something they were into. So
yeah, that's what I was just going to ask. Why was there no hunt? I mean, you had everything else except the hunt.
Yeah. My dad and my grandpa, their fun was to build stuff. And they were always building houses, building homes, working, falling trees. Like that was fun to them. So that's what they did. Like that was their hobby was, moving forward, progress, like some tangible like action. So there just wasn't a whole lot of hobbies. So that's essentially why. And then this friend of mine, him and his dad always hunted, and they'd always tell me about these giant bucks and stuff. And, oh yeah, man, it was huge. It got away though. And I'm like, wait. I live in the middle of nowhere and I never see these things. Like this magic unicorn beast called the black-tailed buck. Like, what are you talking about? And one day, and they'd never get one, but one day they got one and I saw it. I walked up and I looked at it and I was like, because I'd seen them driving on the road and stuff like that. I knew they existed, but like they make it sound like just this, it was, a 48 point, and it was,
Right.
like everybody does. They talk it up all big. But I saw this buck. It was a little 3-point. And like I walked up and I grabbed its antlers and I was thinking, I'm looking at it and I'm like, you guys are going to eat this thing? And they're like, yeah, man, it's really good. And then I started thinking about how they got it and like the self-sufficiency part of it. Like, okay, they went out and they took this animal and they're now turning it into something that can sustain them. And it's a skill and it's a battle. You know what I mean? Like that, like whole, like you versus the animal, like there's this whole other aspect of it that I just hadn't thought of before. So it interested me, and his dad actually had taught a hunter safety course also. So I went and took that hunting. Yeah, I went and took that hunter safety course when I was I think I was 13 years old when I took that hunter safety course, and I didn't shoot my first buck until I was 16. I went out, I think one time, I was 12 or 13 when I took that course, and I went out one time with my dad. He took me out, and I just walked a dirt road. I saw a bobcat running down the dirt road. I thought it was the coolest thing in the world, and then I just never went out again until I got older. But yeah, so that's how I even like started. And I was the first one, to my knowledge, definitely the first one out of my immediate family to really take up hunting as a hobby or as a lifestyle or whatever you'd like to call it.
Did your family pick it up?
Yeah, actually a couple of them did. So one of my brothers has shot a few bucks. Another one I know has at least shot one blacktail, and he just got a turkey also. And my dad has actually killed a couple deer now too.
Really?
Yeah.
Nice.
So,
what about you? Were you brought up doing it?
Yeah. My dad, wasn't against it or anything, but he wasn't really too into it. But my grandpa, my mom's dad, was. I mean, they were horsebacking into the sawtooths way before it was cool. Like
really?
In the 60s and 70s and stuff. And yeah, I mean,
that's awesome.
And they were, I've got some crazy pictures of, the old meat poles with, 10, 28-inch bucks on it. Well, maybe not 28, but 10, 20. 10,
we're calling them 28s right now.
10, 25 and up, with a couple 30s on there.
That's crazy.
Just, awesome time. And so he was a big hunter, and I grew up in just a little bit more south of where Sage grew up on the coast, and so it was all blacktails, and you could get 2 tags, or you still can actually, but
lucky dogs.
So we'd always from the time I was, 5, I mean as early as I can remember, I always go with him, and he drew Nevada a couple times. I went there before I was even old enough to hunt. And so it really influenced from him. And then as I got to the age of, when do you get 8, 9? Is that when you can first start bird hunting and stuff?
I think, I'm not sure. I know the mentored youth tag is 9 here, but I think state to state it might vary.
Yeah, well, they didn't have that in California, but but for ducks and birds and stuff like that, I think it's 8 or 9. But when I got that, my dad took hunter safety with me, and then he's been hunting ever since now too. But yeah, I was obsessed from as early as I can remember. I mean,
same here.
But I never really, like we would just, do a lot of old school road hunting and stuff, and didn't really get hard into it until I was probably in my early 20s. It used to just be like, oh yeah, we go out and look for deer. I mean, I loved it, but I didn't ever really take it that next step until I was a little bit older. But yeah, I shot my first buck when I was 13, and until 2016, that was still my best buck.
Really?
Yeah. Oh man, it was.
Wow.
I walked up, or we spotted them. We hunted like a whole week. My dad took me out of school, which apparently you can't do anymore because you get in trouble from the state.
Really?
Yeah, that's what I heard.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, you pull your kids out for hunting. It's like a
child abuse.
Yeah, basically.
Man.
Pretty much what they try to say.
Teach them to be a man.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
I mean, I was
Teach
like,
them more than you can.
Yeah, I was like actually mad when I heard that, because I was like, man, that was like,
it's a highlight.
Like great growing up knowledge when I was a kid, and quality time with your dad. But anyway, so we spotted him across this. It was kind of a bowl, but it wasn't real big, and we hadn't seen anything all week, hardly. Maybe a fork and horn or something. And now all of a sudden, the last day, I was way down. Just, we're not going to see anything anyway. 13-year-old kid, and my dad's like, oh, there's some deer. And I'm like, oh, they're does. Who cares? And then he's like, oh, man, they're all bucks. And there's like 5 nice bucks over there.
Really?
Yeah. And we had walked in. It wasn't real far, but it was up this super steep ridge to get up there. And then they were on the other side of that ridge. And so I took a shot from there. I missed. But we didn't know if I did or not, so we went over to look.
Mm-hmm.
And we once we got over above where they were, and it was real shaly, really steep. I mean, mountain goat country. And we split up, started looking. There was a big snag where we last saw the buck I shot at, and we split up. And I'm like, oh, I'll get up over on that big boulder, and then I'll be able to see around a lot. And I get up there, and he's like right below me, and we just like lock eyes, and he whips his head around, and I had no idea how big he was. I thought I just saw horns, and I just 20 yards, and I'm still like, okay, aim, slowly squeeze. I could have just pushed a rock on him, but and then so he falls and just tumbled, and it was still one of the craziest pack outs of my life. But yeah, it was a great experience with my dad. Oh, and then my grandpa comes over to help us pack it out, because I mean it took us like 8 hours to get it back to the truck.
Really?
Wow. Yeah, it was, and just a little blacktail. It's not like it was an elk or a moose or something. It was take a step, slide 4 back.
Oh yeah.
And so my grandpa drives back over to help us, and then breaks his leg on the way in there.
Oh.
Yeah. And
holy smokes. And you're 13?
And I'm 13. And so I didn't know how to drive, and he's got this big old diesel stick, And so he we didn't know, it wasn't like hanging down, but he's like, I think I broke it. I heard it snap. And so he's like, well, you guys go ahead and get the rest of the meat, and I'll try to get back to the truck. And he hobbles his way back up there. And he drove all the way home. It was like a 3-hour drive
with a broken leg.
with a manual transmission, just shift in and the whole way down.
Get that experience in school.
So
that's cooler than my first buck story.
Yeah, mine too, by a lot.
And he wasn't. I mean, he was a good solid blacktail. He was a nice 4-point. Nothing. Yeah. I think he's 18 wide or something like that. But
really? My biggest one.
Yeah.
That's my biggest.
But it wasn't like you see these like 23-inch blacktails, around. But
now he's just making me feel bad about
no. But no, he was a solid 4-point.
I've only seen a couple blacktail over 20 inches in my life, and one of them, my brother originally found it, and we hunted him for, 3-4 years, and then he got poached.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we got videos of him and everything. He might even be on YouTube under an old account I had, but this had to be, 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you can't even go up there anymore. They locked it all up and said, stay out of here. But, God, there's some big blacktails, and that was a valley blacktail.
Oh, really?
Yeah, huge.
Oh, here we go with this debate.
Oh, yeah. Bench leg.
Yeah. This one was actually closer to the coast, but
okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank God, because if not,
yeah.
Well, you got to watch out, because if you start getting too far south, then you're hitting
this was
other.
This was actually not far from where he grew up.
So I'm gonna need GPS coordinates.
Yeah. Wait. No, it's probably by that rock. By the tree.
It was by that rock.
Yeah, by the gate.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So what do you guys have planned for this year for hunts, since the draw is coming this week, I think? For Oregon.
Nothing fancy.
You want to know a secret? I am the worst at planning hunts.
I've gotten better, but I'm not exactly a genius either.
Oh, I'll plan the heck out of general season. Let me tell you, I got big plans for general season.
Did you not put in for anything?
I put in for a couple things, but none of. I'm definitely not going to get any of the things that I put in for. So
really?
They're just point holders, yeah. We might hop over into Idaho for a week or so and chase some elk around in Idaho. We're definitely going to be hunting Eastern Oregon for at least a week, chasing elk around. That's going to be a blast. And then I'm going to hunt around where I live,
for blacktails with a bow.
You know what? You about got me convinced to not. And this is, I don't even know if I should say this because I'm kind of condemning myself. But I thought about putting down my bow and grabbing, I can't even say it. a rifle
Oh.
for blacktail season. So
Yeah.
I actually have gotten into rifle shooting quite a bit this last. Well, it's because of spring bear season, really.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can't get a spring bear in any of these cuts closer than 400 yards. So.
Mm-hmm.
But but honestly, I seriously doubt I'd be able to live with myself if I didn't get a bow tag.
Right.
So I'm probably going to end up doing the same old, passing up bucks all elk season long, and then praying for a forked horn during second season. So
Yeah, exactly. Like, oh, I still got late season.
yeah, oh yeah. So we'll probably try to hammer a bear or two. And the funny thing is, like, I wouldn't even consider myself a bear hunter specifically. Like, I'm an elk hunter. I am terrible at it, but I will elk hunt. Now bears, they're just kind of the in between. But I've actually really grown to love bear hunting. So, soon as I think August 1st is typically the opener for spring or for fall bear. Is that right?
Yep.
So we'll probably try to get a couple bears down if possible before anything with hooves and horns fires up, and we'll be scouting all summer long, which is pretty typical for most people anyway. That I guess that's what we do. So.
I'll tell you, those first 2 weeks for bears last year was the best 2 weeks in August that I have ever had.
I would agree.
Oh, there's bears everywhere.
Yep.
Yeah, and ones that I could have killed with my bow.
Yeah.
But I'd already shot a little one that year, and I'm like, I'm not going to shoot another little one.
Yeah.
You know, they were just a little, add another 50 pounds onto them, I would have shot one of them. But, man, bring us back to bear hunting. There's a lot of folks I saw this year. Go ahead.
Actually, what were your plans? I cut you off there.
Oh, yeah.
Nothing crazy. I'm for sure going to try to do an Idaho hunt for elk archery, and then I have a rifle.
If you find them, let me know where they are.
Yeah, I know. And then I have a Oregon rifle tag for elk that I like to get.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, and that's the way it worked out last year. Last year I said I went to Colorado, and then Oregon rifle, and then still got my deer tag. So that worked out perfectly to where I got my fill of trips in, and it didn't hurt the pocketbook too bad.
Really? I have never hunted another state.
That was the first time I ever have.
Really?
Yeah.
Man, I'm going to start, though.
Year before last was the first time for me.
Where'd you go?
In Idaho. I went to Idaho.
Did?
Yep.
I was thinking about getting the late season Idaho tag, but you have to put in for it, and it's like guaranteed to draw, but you just have to put in for it or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know nothing about Idaho draw or anything. I'm going to have to get somebody on the show that does.
Hunting Fool, dude.
Hunting Fool guy?
Yeah, it's the magazine Hunting Fool. So I can't, this is another thing I'm going to get crucified for. I cannot nerd out to draw odds and, statistics. I am just, I want to beat my head against a wall.
See, I should have a book in here that literally has all the odds.
Yeah, see, I'll go shoot my bow. I'll go check game cams, whatever. Get me on my feet, get me moving. But when I'm sitting there staring at statistics, oh, man, my insides hurt. But a buddy of mine, he's all about it, and he's got these magazines. They're Hunting Fool magazines is what they are.
Oh, okay.
And they just have, state by state, what to put in for, how to put in for it, what the best order, to put in for, if you want to draw this first, they just super nerd out to all that stuff. So that would definitely be an awesome resource for somebody, look. And they have, Go Hunt?
Go Hunt does that.
Go
Hunt's pretty epic too. You just punch what you want, what you're looking for, and it says these 5 units or what you're looking for. It's perfect.
That's how I found the unit I was going to put in for this year, Go Hunt this year, and I just don't have the time.
Yeah.
And it's late October. I'm doing other stuff that time of year. But and plus it's 16 hours away, I think, or 13 hours away.
Yeah.
Holy smokes!
Well, it depends on where you're going, obviously, but yeah, we left after I got off work on Saturday. So we left probably 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, and my dad just drove all the way over there,
really,
all night long. We got over there. We got to the area we were going to about, I think, 3 or 4 the next afternoon.
How fast was you driving exactly?
Well, we had a trailer.
Kind of pinpoint this area here.
No, you can't figure it out. It's impossible. But yeah, I kept I'm like, You want me to drive? Nope, I'm good.
Uh,
And man, he just he must have been a truck driver or something when I was before I was born
my hunt
that I didn't
partner's
know
that
about.
same way, but he's seen the way that I drive, so.
Oh, yeah, I'd rather drive than crash in a
Yeah.
crazy.
It's okay to crash if you're driving, but if it's the other person, oh my gosh.
Yeah, you don't even expect it.
Yeah, so I don't know
Right.
about that. I got a friend he's going to listen to this, and he's going to know that it's him. He scares me to death. We can't drive across town without him scaring me to death. So.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I'm that friend to my friend. So I want to talk about an area, and I was going to hit bears, but I want to talk about another area. Going back to what you were talking about earlier about kind of churning people into hunting and stuff. I want to go over being an ambassador to the sport, because both of you guys seem like you're, to me, in my opinion, you guys are doing it right. And I
Appreciate
just,
that.
Yeah.
well, it's really important because I almost touched on this on one episode. Maybe we'll really dive into this on this episode. Is there's 97% of people in the world that do not hunt, and
Yeah,
around here we're the majority. Hunters around here, there's a lot of hunters, but you start getting in Eugene, Portland, Salem, even Ashland.
Oh, for sure, Ashland.
Yeah, for sure, Ashland. Don't drive a log truck through Ashland.
No.
Yeah.
You really start to figure out that we are the minority. And so from a guy that's actually successfully churned people and really helped, in my opinion, all of us, when you churn one person, because that could be somebody that's potentially voting on something that's going to affect us.
Absolutely.
Maybe, say, 1994 when they banned hound hunting, and stuff.
Yeah.
What's your take on that, and how do you approach being an ambassador? Because if you have a YouTube channel, you have an Instagram, a Facebook, you even buy a hunting license. We talked about that in the previous episode. You're a hunting ambassador, whether you like it or not.
Yep. So to me, one thing that people, I think they are or think they want to be hunting ambassadors kind of take for granted or don't think about is, if you're an ambassador for hunting and that's your game and that's what you want to do and you want to help, like I said, shed an accurate light on hunting, that's not just Monday and that's not just Wednesday. That's every post, every conversation. And you can't, because there's a lot of people who, you'll get flack and they just want to fire back and, fire off the hip and retaliate for, things and people who don't understand. And what you're doing is you're kind of giving everybody a black eye. So
Right.
You're ruining being an ambassador by having, all this pride and being right and all this stuff. And it's hard because when you do, say, put out a video and you have an opinion and you put that opinion on, and it's on there forever, whether you delete the video or not. That's you, that's who you are, that's what you did. So
Right.
You really have to think about your content, because what I always think anytime I post something, is this helping or hurting? And it's doing one or the other. There's no middle ground. Like if you post something, it's not just, oh, whatever. You're stating something, you're stating an opinion, you're saying this is what's right, this is what's okay.
Right.
And so being an ambassador, I feel like it's a lot of work and it's a lot of stress, because you don't want to give hunting a black eye. You don't want to give somebody a foothold. And in that, right, you're also thinking like, well, I don't want to not be who I am,
Exactly what I was just going to say.
Yeah, I can't sell out, I got to be who I am. So figuring out who you are and like what you believe and what you stand on is a big thing before you go out there and, start talking to people about hunting. And I think, nobody's got everything perfectly figured out or anything like that, but just kind of know what you're talking about, I guess, before you talk about it, and know how you feel about it, and listening to podcasts and, kind of digging deep, you kind of get your own opinion and stance on things. So, but I think it's very important, because hunting, if you try to take yourself out of your own box and put yourself in the box of somebody who has never been around it, they don't participate in it. They don't know anybody who does it. They live in the middle of a city, and you say, okay, this dude is taking this sharp thing and shoving it through some animal. It sounds insane. It sounds wrong, and it's how it's portrayed. It's how it's, shown to these people or not shown to these people, which is another thing that makes them have that opinion or gives them the opportunity to have the wrong opinion.
Right.
So, just being able to show people what we actually do, like I said, and I think it's going to be a good thing for, those people who they're not around it, they don't get it, they don't understand it. And if we're the ones out there going, the pictures of blood, the pictures of all this stuff that's just unnecessary. And I'm not saying it didn't happen. I'm not saying that. I mean, I 100% believe with my whole heart that hunting is a good thing, and I do believe it's conservation, and I do believe that it's management, it's self-sufficiency, it's a lot of things. It encapsulates a lot of things. So saying, that you're not taking something's life is obviously not true either. So,
right.
There's a point where people are going to have to make their own decision, but I just want to give them the most accurate information to make that decision with.
That's a good mindset. So what about you, Luke?
A lot of the same things, but like you said a little bit, like you don't want to be fake, but you don't want to be harsh either. Like, because I feel like there is a part that you need to show the blood, you need to show the raw meat. So it's not like just candy coated.
Well, there's a difference between showing blood and then showing meat.
I'm
right.
like there's a difference between showing a blood trail,
okay,
and then showing a buck with his eye poked out and his tongue hanging
exactly.
out. Like
exactly.
that. Those are the ones that hurt.
And that's the
I
unnecessary
agree.
that I'm talking about.
Yeah,
right
no. I know you are. I'm just saying, so there's like this perfect balance of it's kind of tricky to find out where, because everybody thinks differently, and everybody, you got the redneck guys that are like, oh man, it's my right to hunt. Screw them.
Right.
I'm posting this buck. We're allowed to do it. I don't care what they think. And it is your right. Who cares what they think? But like you said, hunters are almost 0% of the population.
Right.
Yeah.
So caring what they think.
And just the fact that we're still allowed to is almost amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, look at how our elections go.
Yeah.
Portland says something, that's what happens.
Right.
LA says something, that's what happens. And yeah.
Well, my thing is when you're posting something, is it, and people don't think about it like this, but is it an integral part of this story that you want to tell? Do you want folks to remember that you headshot that deer and everything's showing?
Yeah.
Or do you want folks to know that you hunted like those bucks that you talked to me downstairs? Well, you asked me like, oh, that's an interesting buck. I'm like, yeah, that has a great story behind. Like, I immediately start going into the story. I don't tell you, oh yeah, bled and did all this.
Yeah, exactly.
It's really the story behind it, and there's a couple Facebook pages I belong to. I'm sure you guys are on there too. The Oregon Big Game Hunters, and I'll flat out say it, Oregon Big Game Hunters and stuff. You see a lot of trashy posts on there, and there's anti-hunters and non-hunters that are on that page that troll it. And I don't ever want to have a photo that, say, if I randomly stumbled into an auditorium that was for PETA and my face is on their screen. Because
you don't want your picture as evidence. For them.
This
debagger shot this bear because it was fun. No.
Look at him; he just looks disgusting.
Yeah.
Well, and that's that information part that they're lacking. So
exactly,
everybody, and even hunters, and this is why I said that a lot of people in the past, and even people presently, they have done a bad job representing hunting. Because like for me, like I was talking about our logo and the branding and everything. The experience, the thing that gets you out of bed, the thing that makes you put on your boots when it's raining, when it's, 1,000,000 degrees outside, when, there's no real good chance of winning, and you're going to go out there and you're going to grind anyway, and you're going to go out there and you're going to carry this heavy pack, and you're going to go out in the woods, and you're going to do, you're going to accomplish what you set out to do. Like, what is that? What makes it do that? Is it the squeezing of the trigger and the killing of the animal? For me, absolutely not. Like, it's the entire encompassing experience. And when you post that picture of the, deer with its head blown off, you are not representing that, the climactic portion of your story. That's just one small part of it that you think somebody's going to care about.
Right.
And it's the wrong people that are caring about it,
Right.
Now, if you represent that as the struggle, you show that, it's difficult. It's not easy. It wasn't given. It was earned. And you walk them through the process and you show them that. Yeah, you can show them the animal. I have the whole grip and grin thing. I was
going to bring that up too.
I was having trouble figuring out where I landed on that. And I am proud of this, the end. There's a means to the end. I am proud of this animal, and it's not because of its size or whatever. It's the experience that leads up to it. And that's why, I don't shoot stuff off my back porch or whatever, like that. I don't want to be, I want that experience. I crave that experience. I crave the difficulty, you know what I mean? The earning of it. And when you do take the picture of that animal, like I have every arrow that I've ever killed anything with. I have every bullet shell, the brass that I've shot and like I have them taped, and I have the name or the date on it and everything. Mm-hmm. And like when I look at them, that takes me back to an experience. That takes me back to a story that I lived, not a trophy that I show my friends and talk about how many inches it is or anything like that. Like, yeah, everybody wants to shoot a big deer. Everybody wants to shoot a big bull. Everybody wants to shoot a big bear. Like that's taking mature animals out of the herd and, making room for other. Yeah, that's definitely a goal. But if that's your main focus is the inches, it's going to come out in what you post. So you really have to think about who you are before you start saying I'm an ambassador for hunting. Are you out there for self-recognition? Are you out there so you can be the cool guy that kills the biggest stuff or has the goriest pictures, or are you actually helping? Because you're doing one or the other. You're helping or you're hurting.
Right. And when we talk about being an ambassador, I feel like everybody has adopted this mindset of hunter conservationism. Mm-hmm. And I'm a hunter conservationist, and I do it for all the organic meat. Like, I feel like there's this defense from for hunters that has been built up by a lot of folks on, the actual ambassadors, and I don't feel like that actually fits the puzzle.
It's just a piece of the pie.
It's one, yeah, exactly. It's one portion of it that a lot of people feel they can hang their hat because it's a safe place because it's got a lot of backing.
It is. But if I ask you, what's your favorite color?
Red.
Why?
I don't. Exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's why. Why do you like to hunt? Is
conservation.
It really, because of the organic
just a piece
meat
of it.
Yeah. Well,
no,
it's more than that. Because if it was for the organic meat, you'd be shooting it off your porch.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. And for me, it's so hard to put in words.
It's this big.
It's this big. Yeah. I mean, it's never one thing.
Yeah.
And from my perspective, because I've actually not actually hit, but ran into, not with my car. I need to choose my words more carefully. I've actually met anti-hunters, and I did it on my Africa trip. The first person I talked to when I got off the plane was an anti-hunter. And
on
it was
the way
person, there? On when I arrived, it was the TSA guy for Africa.
Really?
South Africa, yeah.
Huh.
And it still bothers me to this day because I didn't know what to say to him. He's like, why are you here? I'm like, oh, we're going hunting. He's like, for food or for fun? I'm like, both.
Both?
Yeah. And then he's like, well, are you here to kill our animals or are you here for the food? I'm like, well, I plan on eating what I kill, and then the rest is going to go to market and to the workers, and it's going to provide this and that. And he's like, have fun killing our animals. And then I'm like, oh, I didn't make any impact there, and I didn't have an answer prepared. Mm-hmm. Not that I should have an answer prepared, but
and he also didn't sound like he was willing to listen.
No,
he
was closed-minded.
Yeah.
But basically, I said hunting's fun, and I like to eat the meat. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, I didn't feel like that was good enough. Like, I told the girl that was escorting us out, I'm like, next time I'm here, he better be here, and I'm gonna have an answer for him. Whether it's 6 years down the road,
go through security like 5 times trying to find him.
Exactly. I'm like, no, I want that guy. I'll wait an hour to talk to him. Uh-huh. But where I'm going with this is that got me, because I have a lot of road time for my job, so I drive around 4 hours a day on average for my job, and so I reflect a lot. And the thing that for myself, my argument is, and I got asked plenty of times, are you a trophy hunter? You went over to Africa. Are you trophy hunting over there? And my thing is, well, what do you think trophy hunting is? What is trophy hunting? Well, that's where you kill the animal and you leave it, and that's it. You just take a picture with it. I'm like, no, I'm not trophy hunting. You got to ask these people, and you got to challenge these people on what do they think trophy hunting is? What do you think hunting is? Tell me why you are against it. What do you think it is? And then you need to put the ball in their court. Mm-hmm. And for me, when I reflect on why I hunt, and I'm talking to these folks, the problem they have with hunting is the 1% of the animal's life on how it dies, right? They're not focused on how it lived. They're going to eat a hamburger from McDonald's. They're gonna eat a chicken nugget. The animal, I don't know if you guys have seen, I call them the chicken semis. You guys seen the chicken semis driving down I-5? I see them up in Washington. Their cage is about the size that a football could fit in. There's hundreds of chickens on a semi, and you're worried about how my animal died within 30 seconds of being shot with a rifle or a gun. But that, I mean, there's got to be
and then
a
also,
connection there.
If it would have lived a year, 2 years longer,
Right.
it would have died because its teeth rotted out so bad it couldn't eat, or a mountain lion ate it alive.
That is right.
Or, you know, or it just flat starved to death.
Right.
You know, and everything's going to die. And that animal lived, it did whatever it wanted to its whole entire life.
Yeah.
Until it died.
Right.
And these farm or these, you know, factory farm animals, they're caged in there, slammed in there, shoulder to shoulder. They walk by, grains thrown at them, and they go, "Oh yeah, my favorite part of the day."
Walking around in their own feces.
They're up to their knees and poop and pee, and and they're all dying because they're so sick. They're pump them full of antibiotics and
right. Well, my thing is, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, I mean, even if take hunting out of the equation,
right.
And that is wrong no matter what. I mean, I don't like that at all.
I don't like watching it on TV or anything.
No, everybody's come across those PETA videos on YouTube.
Yeah.
On a, you know, and they're going in the YouTube tunnel and.
Yeah, and I'm not against processing meat and stuff. I mean, there's guys that do it the right way, and I don't want to hammer an industry just to defend
No. Yeah, this is, again, a portion of the industry.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Just like hunting. There's the rednecks, and there's there's the guys that actually are trophy hunters, but it's a very, very, very small percentage.
Right.
Comparatively.
Well, I want you guys to think about this. Are we focusing, we all focus on for anti-hunting, they all focus on the quality of the death. Okay, they focus on, wow, you shot that animal, you put an arrow through him, you hurt it. You told me about a story where you shot a buck and the animal kept feeding. It didn't even know what happened.
Mm-hmm. Especially with archery stuff, it seems.
We've had bulls that were stuck and they kept bugling, and they were stuck good. I mean, a lot of the times these things don't even know what happened, and I think instead of focusing on the quality or how it died, we should focus on the quality of how it lived. You know, if I play out two different scenarios for you, you have a buck that was free-ranging, who did what he wanted, lived, migrated, reproduced, reached, 5-6 years old, and then you have a chicken that lived for, I don't know how a chicken, in a...
I don't even think they make a year.
In a foot-by-foot square, and it's plump so big it can't even walk. I mean, what life would you rather live? Yeah. I mean, really, it's...
Easy question.
It is an easy question. Yeah, I think we really need to... And this is just my personal beliefs here, but I think we really need to start spelling this out for folks. Everything's going to die. I'm going to die. Everything's going to die eventually. And then the second thing is, and I forget who said this, but life eats life. Mm-hmm. And if something's going to live, I don't care if you're vegan. You're eating something that is growing, that is living. You're killing insects to harvest that probably. I mean, something's dying for that vegan to live. I don't care, or vegetarian or whatever it may be. And so I guess my question is to you is with the videos and stuff, I feel like that's such a great aspect, because my favorite TV show period for hunting would have to be Jim Shockey's Uncharted. And I was telling Kim about this show, and I'm like, he goes to monuments and he tells you the history of why this is significant, and then he gets, he takes you into camp and he watches you feed, he watches, tapes him eating and stuff. And then, like, the very sliver of it is him actually harvesting an animal. And then my favorite hunt is him, like, he wasn't gonna kill this goat in, like, somewhere in Russia, I don't know. And he hunted for, like, I forget, 30 days or something straight. And then finally, like, the chopper's on his way. They find the animal, they shoot it, and then just before the chopper lands, they make it there. It was like, that is exactly what's gonna push the bar. And I feel like that's what, Sage is planning on doing and stuff.
Yeah, I don't plan on being in Russia with helicopters or anything like that. It's all situational. I mean, you do everything you can. I mean, I have a life and a business and kids and a wife and a dog and there's a lot of stuff going on, and I can't do as much. You only feel so effective. You can only reach so far, but the people within my reach and the things that I can do, I would like to, and it's worth putting the effort in, I think.
Right.
And like Luke was saying, it's hard to believe, like if you try to put yourself in those people's perspective, this isn't just anti-hunters. This is people who don't hunt.
Right.
You know, that's
the area I'm focused on.
Right. And if you put yourself, in their shoes, looking at hunting and how it's been portrayed in the past, I am surprised it's still legal. You know what I mean? Like how,
Yeah.
and it's not like we're going to keep it forever without, making sure we maintain and making sure we do a better job. And I'm not trying to, preach from a soapbox or anything like that, but I would like to do my part, I mean, as a human, I would like to do my part because there's right and wrong. And I do feel like hunting is a good thing. And I feel like, nobody wants to be misrepresented.
Right.
And it hurts when you get misrepresented, and I think for the sport, for the lifestyle to continue, it's imperative that we do a good job. And I'm not sure how far the reach goes. I don't know what percentage of people do hunt or don't hunt, or if it's, I've recently heard that it's on the decline, which seems logical. It's hard because we live in a bubble. I mean, everybody lives in a bubble. In our bubble, there's bow hunters, and there's people who rifle hunt, and there's people who plan hunting, and they check their game cams, and they do all this stuff. But outside of our bubble is a big place, and that big place doesn't necessarily have everything that we have in our bubble, nor the tools to get it. So just to make sure that we, do a good job. And yeah, I am planning to, do everything I can to make quality videos that people would want to watch, regardless of their involvement in the outdoor industry. And, that may end up being local for a little while until, get things rolling a little bit. But, yeah.
Oh, I think you touched on a good area there. Not focusing. I think you have just as good a chance as me convincing somebody with vegan in their Instagram name is that hunting's right as you do is convincing me that hunting's wrong. Those hardcore ones, let's just take those off the table. Let's focus on the ones that are on the fence.
Yeah.
Let's focus on the 97% that eat meat but don't really care either way whether I hunt or not. Because those are the ones that are really going to benefit us in the long run. And I feel like the thing that you're doing with the Chasing Moby is really hitting that market. Because I don't even care if I get the shot on film. It used to be all about getting the shot on film, and that's just literally less than a second. I mean, why am I worried about the 1 second of a half-hour long YouTube video? Like, why am I so worried about that? Yeah, it's really cool to see that and stuff, and I thought that Blue Wildebeest video was going to get everything because it had the shot on film. It hasn't gotten very many views, but the quality's not very good, like you're saying. It's got GoPro footage. And I just feel like you're really hitting it because the more that I upload and the more that I get out there, what you're saying makes more sense to me. The quality is really important for me for what you're trying to do.
It just opens up the demographic, and I feel like it's the difference between bow hunters. How many people want, like, I'll watch a terrible bow hunting film because I'm a bow hunter.
Right.
So it's like if you're selling a dirt bike. You are selling it to people who ride dirt bikes, and that's X amount of people. But now say you're selling a car. How many people drive cars? Everybody. So if you're taking this film that is put together poorly, but you have a pitch and it's a certain demographic, bow hunters. Yeah, bow hunters are going to watch that. But if you're filming and your pitch is this, beautiful video with high quality image and a story that's told through the lens well, with good cut scenes and awesome audio, and now you're selling a car. There's more people out there who would take that and run with it versus the guys, the dirt bike demographic, man. That's where it's at.
That's a good point. And that's actually a really good metaphor. I've never thought about it like that.
My brain is pretty full of stuff.
So where are you at on that? For if somebody's Luke, if someone's coming at you like, why do you hunt? What's your stance?
Well, usually if I get any negative comments or anything like that, my first question is, "Are you a vegan?" And if they say yes, then I'm like, "All right, well then you can have that opinion because you're at least trying."
Right.
Like maybe we have different thoughts about things, but you're at least trying to help the problem.
That's interesting.
You know what I mean? Like,
I never thought about it like that.
Like they don't believe what I believe, but they're at least doing something, and they're they think no animals should die, so I'm trying it. The people that really drive me nuts are the people that say you shouldn't hunt while they're eating at a giant burger or a giant steak. Because then I'm like, dude, you're not making sense at all.
Right.
Like we talked about earlier, that cow lived in slavery its whole life, and then it just watched all of its buddies get killed right in front of him. And, who knows how much they really know what's going on, but probably something. And now you're going to chew on it and then get mad at me for killing a deer.
So you're more okay with it if somebody's actually talking the talk behind it?
Well, I'm not really okay with it. Like, I still disagree with
You'll
them.
accept it easier.
But to me, it makes more sense. Like,
yeah.
At least they're trying.
That's really interesting. I've never heard that perspective before, and that actually does make sense to me.
Yeah, but like the hypocriticalness, is that right?
Yeah. No.
Anyway,
I'll accept it from my.
Of the meat eater that's saying hunting's bad is really what gets me going, and so then I'll give them that whole spiel and talk about everybody's seen those documentaries again and stuff like that, and
and sometimes maybe it is lack of information.
Exactly.
These people don't necessarily. They're not necessarily a bad guy, but when you give them the tools, or they say, "Hey, this is the information,"
right?
And now make your decision. And if it's still that way, well, we're gonna have to agree to disagree.
And besides not having the information, they've probably been told the wrong information.
Exactly. They're already biased.
Exactly. And so they're like, we've all seen the little even cartoons. They have the Bubba Hunter that's
woo,
yeah,
and they're out there taking pictures and stuff.
Cameron, was it Cameron?
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah,
on Instagram.
Yeah,
and that was amazing. I read the caption first, and then I was like, "Oh, what's this?" It's probably not super direct. It's probably just no.
It was pretty bad.
Yeah,
really?
It was amazingly. Something about let's take pictures with this dead animal and then leave it here or something like that.
Yeah,
something
it was like blatant.
Yeah, it was
like propaganda.
Yeah, propaganda. Yeah,
they're like taking selfies and it was bad. Man. But they're getting those ideas from what they're seeing. I mean, it's not everybody, but it is out there. So we gotta just
do our part.
Try to not be that guy.
Right. I think recognizing at the get-go that we're on an uphill battle.
Exactly.
And it's not something
from the beginning.
Yeah, it's not something that you can just declare victory over. It's a battle that's going to have to be fought and won literally every single day. It's not a war you can win.
And that's that whole making sure that your content and what you believe is on par with what you're saying, because you're going to get called out. And if you have to live this every day, what you build up, what you say, only matters if it's real. And if you're the guy that does good, and then, and then all of this stuff comes out later, you're giving it a black eye. So you have to maintain the course. You know what I mean? You gotta be real, and you actually have to believe this stuff. You can't just be cool and say it because it's popular right now or whatever.
Right,
right.
So that's my only thing is this organic argument and the conservation argument. It's like, man, how many of you have actually volunteered? And then the second thing is I still will buy hamburger from the store, so that argument doesn't really work for me. Even if I'm on my last package of elk hamburger, so I'm not buying technically, I guess, organic meat there if I go to the store. I don't know. I'm trying to figure out something that works for me personally.
Right.
And it may be different for you, and it may be different for Luke. And
it is.
I just think people really need to take a second, a minute, some driving time, and really figure out why do they do what they do, and what makes it to where they can defend. How are you going to defend your position? Because you need to have something, in my opinion. Not that we should have to, but unfortunately, that's the world we live in, where you're gonna have to be able to defend what you love to do.
Yep.
And it's never one thing. Like we already went over that, but. So is there anything else you guys would want to add before we move on from there?
Going back to what hunting is or why we hunt, which is the biggest, not the biggest question, but a gigantic loaded question. I actually tried to answer that one day, and I sat down and wrote 3 novels, and I still didn't feel
3 novels. Wow.
Yeah. Well, you know what I mean.
No,
I know.
I
have, but I ended up squishing it down into just one little sentence. And this obviously doesn't encompass everything.
Mm-hmm.
But this is the one thing this is like where I was at the time anyway. I said, hunting is a crazy, amazing, fickle thing that drives me insane while motivating me to continue on. That is hunting. It's like, it's this thing. It's unexplainable almost. There's a passion to go do it. It's beneficial. It makes sense in a lot of ways. In some ways, you're still taking life. There is loss in it. There is, emotion in it. It's deep. It's not something that's easily explained. It's not something that's, you can just jot down on paper and everybody goes, oh, it is something different to different people. Mm-hmm. And it's very personal and it's okay. Mm-hmm. And so that's difficult to convey unless you actually think about it. And even when you do, it's not like it just rolls off the tongue really easy, Mm-hmm. But to be able to figure out where you stand and like come up with, is it okay? Why is it okay? Where do you stand? Mm-hmm. And not necessarily for the reason of, upholding your end of an argument, but just to know as a person, like, where am I at with this? Mm-hmm. And I think it helped me out a lot to just sit down and like try to think about, okay, is this just a hobby? Am I doing this to be cool? Am I doing this because my friends do? And I mean, I guess the only person you could really talk to that would really, really know would be my wife. If you talk to my wife, yeah, she'll tell you every secret about me. And yeah, man, it's unexplainable. The drive, the passion to continue.
Right.
It's not because I'm good at it. I'll tell you that right now. Mm-hmm. It's not because I'm successful. I'll tell you that right now. There's this me versus me. Like, how far can I go? How much can my brain endure? Like Cameron Haynes says, it's all mental. Mm-hmm. That's legit. That's a great saying. That is, and it's after years and years of being out there grinding, I'm sure. But it's how far are you willing to take it? And there's just something about the victory of putting yourself through all that in the mountains and coming home with, the victory. And the victory to me is the experience. And like we were talking about the organic meat being kind of a funny thing to, like that's what everybody talks about now. Mm-hmm. Man, when I open up my freezer, I am pretty excited about that organic meat, though. So
100%,
it is,
100%.
Again, with the conservation, it is a part of it.
It's a tool.
It's just not the part. You know what I mean? It is all encompassing. So that's my little.
Right. And to pair it off of what you're saying, yeah, conservation and organic meat, those are all facets.
Yeah.
Those are all basically just something that's spilling over out of the cup. That's
right.
It's
there.
It's there. And conservation, that's my hammer and my tool belt right there. I mean, that is part of it. I mean, I've gone from shooting just back when I was younger, shooting the first buck that walked out. Now I'm like, okay, let's really try and focus on taking a good mature buck.
I'm not there yet.
That's me. And I'm not there for elk yet.
Oh man,
I'm leaps and bounds over deer over than I am elk. But
that's the other thing, though. It's a growing experience. It's changing and evolving, and it grows you up. It moves you from where you're at now,
right? And
it makes you have a goal, and it's a good way to teach life, man. Like it's and people have been teaching life this way for years. Like it's tried and true. And it teaches you respect for the game. It teaches you respect for life. It teaches you hard work and dedication. Like, there are many things that are good about it. Right. Not just the squeeze of the trigger. So.
Well, that reminds me of going off of what you said there. I'm not even sure how I'd put this, but it's the 3 stages of a hunter's life. Have you guys heard that? Mm-mm. You guys haven't heard that?
No, I don't think
so. I thought it was
actually.
really, really popular. So,
well, I guess we're not popular.
I live under a rock. So. I don't have any friends.
Well, maybe
either.
I'm just making this up as I go. But I heard it as a kid, and it really stuck with me. My dad told me about this, and I'm not sure. Maybe he got it from somewhere. But the 3 stages of a hunter's life really encapsulates every person at some point in their life. So where you're not there for deer, where I am, I'm passing up bucks, and you're like, I'm not there yet. I'm still going to shoot the first one. So there's the I'll just call it the meat stage. So there's part of a hunter's life where he's just going out there for the meat, period. Plain and simple. I'm shooting the first one. I'm going to feed my family. I'm going to put that meat in the freezer, and we're going to live off of that until next season. That is why I'm there. I am there for the meat. That's the meat stage. Then you have the hunting, you can call it conservation, the trophy stage, the mature buck stage, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to selectively choose what animal I'm taking out of the herd because these fork and horns aren't challenging. I don't want to shoot them anymore. I want to shoot a nice mature buck, do the best thing for the herd, and that's where I'm at there. I want to shoot a big mature buck. That's the we'll call that the mature trophy stage. And then you have the one stage where the hunter's just going out there for the experience, and if he kills a buck, it's icing on the cake. He doesn't even care if he feels a tag. And, he'll hunt. He'll have all the memories. He'll probably shoot more with a camera than he ever does a rifle anymore. He doesn't even care if he kills anything. That could be the same person. I moved for deer. I moved from that at about 20 years old. I moved into the more mature, maybe even 22, more mature, bigger bucks, selectively choosing what I'm shooting, into the trophy stage for deer. And then for elk, I just don't have that yet. I'm still at the meat stage, and that's a 800-pound animal running around. That's a lot of meat, And the born and raised guys, they're still there.
Mm-hmm.
They're still there.
I was just going to say, some guys stay right there the whole time.
Right,
I know guys that have killed 20 deer, and they're still just got some meat. But most people, yeah, you're right. It's totally meat, and then it's not really a trophy. Like they say, trophy hunting. It's right. You're after that skill, that test, that skill level.
Yes.
Like, I reached it.
Right.
Like, that's what's exciting. I mean, there's guys that love inches and stuff, but that's, again, part of it. Like,
right.
I hit that milestone. It's not.
That's well put. I should clarify that I'm pointing at an antelope in my room that we're podcasting here. And that is a 13 1/4 inch antelope. And I told you guys a story about that. That is not, and don't even get me started on BNC and Pope and Young. Someone else is going to tell me what a trophy is. Come on.
Yeah.
That just irks me. But that is not a trophy in many people's eyes. But the story behind that, I could tell you, and I'd probably even get teary-eyed. I'm not even going to go over it. But that was one of the hardest animals I've ever killed, period, just because of what was going on in my life. My favorite dog, my pup that I'd raised, brother to Tilly downstairs got hit literally the day before we left for that hunt. I was going to scratch it. I waited 13 years for that antelope. You cannot tell me that's not a trophy there. Like, even if it's only 13 1/4 inches, it's just everything that went into that. It was so emotional. When I killed that thing, I cried because I was like, I can finally go home and be with my family and just take it all in. And just, it's like, it was just, my gosh.
Every hunt's like a flood of emotion. Or when it's not the kill, that's the climax. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, I did it. I can go home. I've got meat. I haven't seen my wife and girls in 8, 9, 10 days.
Right.
I've hiked 1,000,000 miles. I've been thinking about this all year. It's all that comes up at once. So people are like, why do you, hooping and hollering? And it's not, woo, I killed a big whatever, or even, whoa, I killed an animal.
Right.
It's all of that, like your dog. And it's like, man, this has been a crazy week.
Yeah.
And it all finally comes to a head.
Right. And I started off that hunt at one stage where I was at the trophy stage, and by the end of it, I'm like, I just want to go home. I want meat. And I'm going to shoot the first heart-shaped antelope I see, and we spotted that thing off and put a pretty cool stock on him, and it turned out to be the Terminator antelope. He would not go down, even with that's actually my dad's cape, because by the time I was done with my cape, it was not good. But that's my dad's cape on my antelope. Pretty cool, and he did a European on his. So there's a really cool story behind that one, and there's a really cool story behind that buck there, but I won't get into that one now. But at my point, I mean, what I'm trying to do is really push the bar, because I think if we're going to make a difference with the non-hunters, we have to make a difference with the hunters first. You got to make your bed before you go out and change the world. You got to make sure that your room's clean. You got to go out and do these things to put yourself in position. And if you buy a hunting license, you are an ambassador, in my opinion. If you upload, if you have friends, anybody.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be
right.
Anybody seeing your stuff. Even just at work, people know you hunt.
Right.
I don't have any friends. So
well, let's
luckily
put it this
for
way.
us,
we know what is the. I'm going to have to look up the definition of an ambassador after this, but it has to be something that promotes or basically promotes something or talks about something. Well, hunters talk about what they kill. They talk about what they do. They promote what they do by uploading it. I strapped a buck to a Celica one time. I was a great hunting ambassador that day. I had freaking buck strapped to the top of my Celica. That's before I was, I cared. That's before I did any of this stuff.
Yep, I've been that guy.
Yeah.
And that's that growing experience. That's that, you know what? I've done some things in the past where now I have a different set of standards, and it's not because I'm flip-flopping or I'm a different person or I'm wishy-washy, but I'm learning and I'm growing. And like when I started chasing Moby, I was a different person than I am today.
Right.
I was a different person last year than I am today. It's a growing experience, and you are learning what is important and why it's important.
Right.
And the whole strapping a deer to the car thing, I've done that. I've been that guy. Absolutely. And at the time, I didn't think anything of it. And I would have been the guy that said, this is my right, like you were talking about.
Exactly.
And so I can't say that those guys are bad people. No, I can't say that I don't understand them. All I can say is, you know what, I have been there without the proper tools to be where I am now mentally, and to have the perspective I have now. So to get to where you're not strapping stuff to the hood of cars driving downtown, letting the blood run down the back window. Why? Well, there's a reason why, and this is it. You know what I mean? So,
right. Yeah, and I can't tell you how many people stopped and took pictures.
Yep.
That could
I
be
got free
anywhere.
Dutch Bros for like a month after that.
Did you?
Yeah, I did.
Well, that was a different town.
Yeah. Again, we live in the bubble of bow hunters.
Exactly. Yeah.
Don't do that in Portland.
Yeah, no.
But yeah, there's like, especially at least for me when I was younger, there's like this like you want people to get mad. Like screw you, man.
Ask me about my deer, bro.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, you don't like this?
Yeah.
Too
bad.
Whatever.
I'm gonna go out and kill another one just because you said that.
Yeah, exactly.
Helping or hurting.
Yeah.
Exactly.
See, but when you're 16, you don't care about that kind of stuff.
And that's why I said I'm different now than I was then. That's for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think this has been a pretty good podcast, guys. We're going on an hour and 25 minutes, and my goal for this podcast was to get your guys' platforms out there, get Chasing Moby out there, get Mountain Minded out there, because I want to spotlight folks that I feel I have a lot in common with, that I feel are doing it right, that are going to push the bar, that are going to spread the gospel of hunting, I guess, if you will. They're going to be good disciples of hunting and really do good by everybody that's listening to this podcast. I know if Sage goes out and posts something, I'm not going to have to worry about it. And not that I do worry about other people's posts, but I do get worried when I run across it on Facebook, because that's just a cesspool of photos and just people doing it wrong. And you want to go onto a page, I already told you which one it was. Go on there in November and you'll see it, man. I mean, I personally, I don't even go on that page during hunting season. I just don't even do it. But that's why I wanted to have you guys on the show, and I appreciate you guys driving, I don't know, hour and 20 to be here. So is there anything else, final thoughts that you guys want to say before we get off this thing?
No, we really appreciate you having us on the show. That's super awesome.
Yeah, big time.
We love meeting. Well, I know I'm sure I can speak for Luke also. I'm not trying to speak for him, but I think I can. Meeting with like-minded people who have passion and drive to do this stuff. And like you said, when you don't have to worry about somebody, when you don't have to worry about, like even in the woods, like that, I told you earlier, you don't have to worry about somebody poking holes in the wrong animal or anything like that. I mean, it's a blessing to know that there are people out there who are doing good things for the things that we love. And there's, like I said, there's big names, Cameron Haynes, Jim Shockey, Fred Barry. These people have done and are doing good things. So it's not like we're the first people to try to do this. We just want to do our part. And I'm not trying to save the whole world. Just the people within my reach. And I feel like if everybody kind of jumps on the bandwagon, the people within your reach, like I know that, I don't have a giant company or a huge reach, but the people within my reach, it is your responsibility to do what you can for the things that you love. So
for sure. And it's almost a selfish thing, because like I don't want hunting to look bad or go away. I mean, especially in this state.
Yeah, I'm not good at it yet. Shoot.
Yeah, and
can't go away yet.
I mean, right now it seems like, oh, that's crazy. We'll always be able to hunt, but 10 years, who knows?
Yeah,
exactly. And to be honest with folks out there, this is so different than the Joe Rogan podcast, where he reaches those people that need to hear it. This is just an echo chamber. If you're listening to this podcast, I seriously doubt you're one of the ones that needs to hear this.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you are, because you could be that guy that pushes the envelope. You could be the guy that gets that extra vote that passes that hunting measure that we need. You know, I mean, it's a double-edged sword. Make sure that your edge is sharp. And I guess that's all I can ask.
Yeah.
So, well, thanks, Sage, Luke. You guys have been great guests, and we're going to have to absolutely do this again. Maybe talk about Apple Bottom, the Bowl, some Bears.
I forgot about it.
Yeah. I was wanting to cover that, but it just didn't go there.
Yeah.
Oh.
But,
one thing I did want to mention real quick, and I know we don't have a whole lot of time to dive into it, but I got the opportunity to help out with a group called the Purple Heart Outdoors.
Oh, that's right.
Yes, Purple Heart Outdoors. They are a group that they take the special operations community, so active special operations, whether it's Army. At this particular time, they had Army and the Marines there, but I think they do Navy and Air Force. I think they do everybody. But they take these guys who are active military, and when they're home, they just take them hunting. It's completely nonprofit. Not a single person that's there makes $1. It's all donated time, and I got to go hang out with these guys, and I'm absolutely sure that I got more from it than they did. I mean, these just are quality people, awesome organization. And I just want to say, I mean, if anybody's looking for something to donate to, if they got any extra money in their pocket, I have spent some extended time with these people, and they are quality people. And the things that they do for these active military guys is awesome. And they just give them a chance to come be normal people and, come hunt and enjoy the things that they're fighting for, the freedom for, and the ability to come home and, eat a piece of that pie that's sitting here that they've been fighting to keep free. So anyway, I got a chance to go bear hunt with these guys. They're quality people. And I would absolutely say, if you're looking for something to support or sponsor.
What was that called?
Purple Heart Outdoors.
And where can people get a hold of that organization?
So purpleheartoutdoors.com, I do believe is, let me make sure here.
Is that an Oregon-based company?
They're not Oregon-based. I'm not sure exactly where they're based.
Huh.
But anyway, if you message me on Instagram, I will get you hooked up with the correct people. So it's just Chasing Moby on Instagram.
Okay. All one word?
Yep, Chasing Moby. Yep, it's got the picture of the whale with antlers and bare legs. But I'll get you hooked up with the right people, because there are a couple different Purple Heart programs. Some of them are for disabled military people, and this particular one is for active special operations. So it's pretty specific. But like I said, they're the guys out there, kind of the tip of the spear and fighting for. So it's, from what I understand, it's one of the only organizations like it.
For active, yeah, because
they're all active.
Are for veterans.
Yep. No, these guys are all active guys.
Yeah, we take care of our active guys too.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, you don't have to.
I thought you were just saying it wrong the whole time.
Nope,
but I didn't know.
No,
nice.
No. These are they're all active, and yeah. So there were Green Berets and
really?
there were Marine Raiders and all the cool guys out there. But you think about it, they're out there grinding and grinding and grinding. And when they come home, we want to take care of them too. So,
yeah, absolutely.
And like I said, get to enjoy what we enjoy because they're off, fighting for our freedom. And these guys, like I said, they're quality people. Blew me away at just how respectful and grateful and just selfless, absolutely selfless these people were. Right. So, good thing to put some effort into. So, I would advise doing that.
If you guys got a bear?
Oh, we got several bears.
Oh, right on.
Yes.
That's really cool. Thanks for doing that.
So anyway, that was
and that was Purple
Heart Outdoors.
Purple Heart Outdoors.
Yeah, there's Purple Heart Outdoors Tour, and from what I understand, it is not that one. There's several Purple Heart Foundation pages, and only one of them is the one that I was involved with. And again, if you're interested in donating to that or being involved with that,
I will put a link in the show notes.
Perfect. That'll work perfect.
Yep.
Yeah. Or like I said, you can message me, and I'll get you in contact with a couple people.
That thing?
That is not.
And you know what? I'll even put it in my Instagram for a little while. My link in the Instagram, just in my bio there. We'll do it there, and we'll do it in the show notes.
Awesome.
It'll also show up on YouTube as well. We'll make sure we get that out there.
And like I said, they're not a nonprofit to where like they actually have some employees or anything like that. Everybody that's involved in this they're all, like I met people from all over, and they're involved. A lot of the guys pay their own way to be there to help out with the program.
Really?
Wow,
Yeah,
that's
it's
cool.
all completely volunteer based. Nobody's making any money off of this, so don't feel like you're giving money to somebody for their job or anything.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
Huh. Yeah. Well, I might have to get involved with that next year too.
Yeah, I got involved through a friend kind of thing, and
Really?
it's something that I would be more than blessed to do every year.
I like that. Luke, anything on your end? Parting words of wisdom?
No, not really, actually. And I hate saying that, but we
You said it all.
yeah, we hit everything pretty good.
So, well, I think it was definitely a good podcast. I hope it did not come off soapboxy. Maybe that one area where I kind of went off on a tangent, but it definitely not preachy. We're really trying to push the bar here. And for folks that want to get involved with the Purple Heart Outdoors, you can get a hold of Sage at Chasing Moby on Instagram. The links will be in the, like I said, in the bio, in the show notes. You can also email me at GarrettWeaverHunts at gmail.com. I will make sure that your information gets to Sage if you can't find him on there, which I don't know why you couldn't. But I want to make sure that we make sure we take care of that organization as best we can. Because just hearing you talking about it, and it's probably one of the only organizations that I've heard of that actually does stuff for our active.
Yeah, I hadn't heard it.
Which is cool.
Yep.
Yeah, and that means you're helping out probably local boys too.
These guys were from all over, actually.
Really?
Yep, these guys were from all over the place. So.
Interesting. So, all right, guys. Well, that includes this week's episode of the podcast. Hopefully, you guys will tune into next week, and I will see you on the next one. Bye. You guys can say bye, too.
Okay, goodbye.
See you later. See you later.
See ya. Well, that's this week's episode, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed it. I enjoyed sitting down with Luke and Sage, and both these guys are great. They gave a lot of really good input, and I really appreciate their perspectives and their mindset when it comes to what we talked about. So if you can, go follow Sage Davis. He is the Chasing Moby guy. He's on YouTube and Instagram. You can find him just by searching Chasing Moby. And then Luke Evans is part of the Mountain Minded group. They have a YouTube channel. They're just launching it. And then they also have the Instagram there. You can go follow them there as well. Great guys doing some great things. And I appreciate everybody coming onto the show. Again, be sure to leave a 5-star review with a comment, and that will get you entered in all these cool drawings we're having. And I also want to thank Hunters Hall, who have been supporting the podcast and offer discounts to our listeners who enter code OPTEN.